people need to get involved. Really, the amount of the problem that Michigan faces isn't going to go away this month or even this year. What we're hearing is that Michigan's fiscal challenges really extend out for a decade or more. It's complicated stuff, and you know, when you start to get even beyond the one-year budget challenges that we face, and you do what we're doing today, which is to look out 10 years, you know, it's easy to get depressed. But at the same time, it's good to get people fired up to say, okay, we can be part of the solution. We can draw the line here and say, okay, enough. You know, let's move Michigan forward. And Michigan, if you look at, you know, the general fund budget, it's down about 30% from where it was back in 2000. If you look at spending pressures, corrections and Medicaid expenses have gone up anywhere between 20 and 50% during that time, while higher education and revenue sharing have been cut. So what all of that says to us is that you've got a combination of issues here. Not only is Michigan state government spending more than it can support, but it's also taking in less revenue because we've become a poorer state. So the answer is not necessarily a tax increase, because when you're 37th in per capita income, the taxpayers can't really afford to pay a lot more money right now. But what you can do is you can reform the tax structure to have it be more stable so that that drop-off that Michigan has seen in the last decade stops from happening. And then you can also deal with looking at spending pressures to be able to bring spending more in line with revenue. So it's really important for business to have a growing state, because business, in order to get a return to their shareholders that they need to stay in business, they've got to grow their profits by a certain amount. And if they're investing in places, states, that aren't growing, they can't get that return to their shareholders, which means that they go out of business. So they need Michigan to be a successful, thriving state. And many of the members of Business Leaders for Michigan can't move anywhere else. Myers is a good example. You know, the grocery store business is not going to move all of a sudden out of Michigan. Our utility companies, a lot of the, you know, different providers that we have. So the point is that business needs their state that they're doing business in to succeed. And if they succeed, then in turn they are able to hire more workers, pay better wages, and everybody wins as a result. The good news, I think, is that you see people getting engaged. I think that, you know, even though people have been frustrated with the political situation and that we haven't moved faster than we perhaps should have, I think what you see are business groups, community groups, civic groups stepping up to maybe fill part of that void, and also to give the message to the political leaders that we're ready for change. Michigan's ready to be a different kind of state. You know, for 40 or 50 years, we, you know, basically depended on big labor, big government, and big business to drive Michigan. That mostly is gone. And what it requires us is to behave differently, operate differently than we have in the past, and that's a lot of change for people. But what the good news is that it's happening, that you see it happening every day. And that means that Michigan can, it may not look exactly the same as it did in the past, but that doesn't mean that we still can't be a very successful, thriving state again. We can. It'll just look differently than it did 50 years ago.